I snooped through my husband's phone while I was asleep, and I thought he cheated on me, so I cheated back. Now, I broke the news to him, and I'm begging for him to stay with me. I, 28F, have been together with my husband, 33M, for over 6 years. We have been married for 4 years, and we have a 20-month-old son together. We met through a friend's home party and connected almost immediately. He started talking to me first. From the moment I met him, he was incredibly handsome, very confident, and charming. I knew several of the girls, including some of my friends, wanted to talk to him when we were there, but within the first 10 minutes of arriving at the party, he came over to me. I really don't know any perfect word to use of how I felt at that moment, but if I had to pick one, I felt almost chosen by him. We started dating a few days after, and the more time we started spending together, the more I started to fall for him. I have always had the feeling of him being completely out of my league, but after meeting him, he never really made me feel unsure that he wanted to be with me. I knew beforehand he had been with plenty of women, but it didn't really bother me because he never spoke of it or ever mentioned it. The few times I asked him if he really wanted a relationship or if he was sure about us, he always told me he loved me, and that he does not care about other women. After 2 years, we ended up getting married. We tried having a child and got a beautiful son. He always wished to have a son and a daughter, and we were planning on having another child. I always loved my husband more than anyone can imagine. But after giving birth, I gained a bit of weight. He always told me he didn't care and that he loved me no matter what. He suggested I could start training with him, as he goes to the gym at least 4 to 5 times a week, and that we could start this as an activity together. I always said yes, but we never ended up going together for several different reasons. He never got out of shape and regularly went training in the gym without trying to invite me there. As time moved on and the baby was taking most of our time, our lovemaking life got less and less active, but he always assured me that he was still attracted to me. Most of the time, he would try to initiate lovemaking, but I would turn it down, mostly because of myself and because I was insecure about my body and myself around him. This is still a huge regret for me. He even told me we could leave the baby at our parents', his or mine, to get alone time, but for some reason, I kept neglecting him. My self-esteem kept getting worse and worse, and he was trying to cheer me up and encourage me. When we would go out somewhere, I could see other women looking at him or trying to make eye contact with him, and it would bother me and I would tell him about it. And every time, he would assure me he only loved me. One day, as he came home from long work hours at the hospital, he went straight to bed, telling me he was exhausted. I started looking into his phone and looking in his Instagram and Messenger messages, and I could see several chats with different women, some of whom I know are his ex-girlfriends. He had been asked to go meet for a coffee, or if they would want to meet up somewhere just as friends, but he always turned them down. I even saw archived messages of an ex who had messaged him out of the blue and asked if he wanted to meet up for good times, which we all know what she was talking about. He had responded with "I have a wife" and blocked her. I really don't know why, but in my head, I started making up that he must have been cheating on me with at least one of these girls. I ended up contacting an ex-boyfriend who I hadn't talked to for years. One thing led to another, and we met up at a hotel close by. At first, I just wanted some sort of payback, but as we ended up making love, I was filled with incredible regret. This all happened during the day, and my husband was at work and had no idea, not even the slightest suspicion. It took me 3 days, and as he came home one day, we were in front of the television. I burst out crying and told him everything. He just kept looking at me but didn't say a single word, then he went upstairs and locked the door to our bedroom. I followed him and was crying at the door, but he didn't say a single word to me. It took him a long time, but he finally came out but immediately left the house, and I haven't heard a single word from him. He didn't even say anything to me when leaving, and he was not even looking at me. I have tried to call him hundreds of times, but he still hasn't responded, and I have no idea where he has gone. This all happened yesterday, and I haven't heard a word from him. I'm scared to contact his or my own family because I'm scared for them to find out. I really don't know what to do, and just want to save my marriage. I have an incredible feeling of disgust and regret, and I don't even know why I didn't trust him. I know most of this roots down in my own insecurities, but I just want my husband back. He has left me alone with our baby. How can I get in contact with him? What can I do to save my marriage? Update 1. My life has been completely ruined. I hate myself more than anything, and I just wish I can get my husband back. I really don't know how to move on from here. He came home for a few hours yesterday before packing up and leaving again. When he finally came home, he didn't say anything, went straight to our son, and refused to say a word to me even though I kept crying. He told me he wanted some alone time with our son. At first, I thought he came to see our son and later wanted to discuss things, but after some time, he started packing a bag and I panicked. I started crying and begging him to stay and to talk about it. I took the advice of being completely transparent and told him I would tell him everything he asked, but he just stood up, looked at me in a disgusted, cold way and told me, "I don't want to know anything, I know all that I need to know." Then he just went over and took some more things to put in the bag. I completely panicked and started saying I love him and will do anything to get him back. That I had stopped the lovemaking midway because I felt guilty. In the middle of that sentence, he pushed me to the wall and held my arm and screamed, "I told you to shut the F up." I had never seen him so angry and disgusted, and for a moment, I thought he would hit me, but he never did. I tried to hug him, but he refused to touch me and told me I am used and broken to him now, and that he wants nothing to do with me. This completely broke me inside. I asked what this meant, and he said we will be getting divorced. The only thing he wants right now is to be able to meet our son whenever he wants, but other than that, he wants nothing to do with me. Later the same night, he called me on the phone and told me he will be contacting a lawyer and that he wants a divorce. I don't know what will happen now. I have been crying constantly since this all happened. I'm having panic attacks, and I can't eat or sleep. He saw me completely broken, but he still wants nothing to do with me and wants a divorce. I have so much remorse. I feel a constant pressure in my chest, as if I'm having cramps in my stomach. I still haven't been able to contact our families, and I don't know if he has either. I am too embarrassed to do that. I just want my life back. I really can't imagine seeing a life without him or him being with another woman. My life has crashed into a million pieces, and I am just trying to pick them up and glue them together. Has anyone been able to convince their partner to come back? Is there anything I can do? I want to disappear, but I can't for the sake of my son. I hate myself more than you can imagine. I know how disgusting and stupid I am, and trust me, I am paying the price. I just want advice on how I can get him back. My husband had a multiple-year-long affair, and the lawyer told me I would lose everything if I divorced him. So I spent years perfecting my payback. My revenge began by discovering my husband Dave's infidelity after 14 years of marriage and 3 kids. I saw a text appear on his work phone for just a few seconds that would forever change my life. It was a message that was actually graphic and had no business being on anyone's work phone. It was on the lock screen in the sender's name. I just froze. My first thoughts were, what the hell was that about? It's his work phone. That kind of message gets people fired. Then it hit me. Was Dave having an affair? It's amazing how the brain works. I suddenly started remembering a lot of things Dave had done that seemed odd, but I'd either dismissed them myself or immediately accepted his explanation. He was always walking out of the room to answer a call or return a text and claim that it would violate HIPAA. He was a nurse. If I overheard him talking about a patient, I accepted this because education has similar privacy laws regarding students. I'm a district school admin. He would sometimes come home with a faint smell of perfume on his clothes and claimed it was from helping to move female patients. Again, I accepted this at face value, but it always struck me as odd how it seemed to have the same scent of perfume. Once the proverbial barn door was open, I started seeing a lot of things that I'd missed before. Our love life in the bedroom had cooled off considerably, which wasn't helped by him having to leave the house at odd hours to fill in for other nurses that called in sick. I also recalled where I'd seen the name Paula before, and a call to the hospital confirmed she was a doctor there. For the next week or so, I was walking around in daze trying to put all of the pieces together. One of our kids had left a book in Dave's car, so it was an excuse to visit the hospital. My kid went up to get Dave's car key. I talked to a nurse in the lobby and joked about how work phones seem like a blessing, but all they do is put you on call 24 hours a day. This led to her eventually telling me that the hospital was too cheap to give cell phones to nurses, so only high-level executives got them, which didn't include Dave. With pretty much everything confirmed, I took some personal time off the next day to talk to a divorce lawyer. The news she gave me was horrible. We lived in a community property state with no-fault divorce. I made more money than Dave. He'd been the primary caretaker of the kids, and we've been married for more than 10 years. Basically, if I filed for divorce, I'd be screwed. Lose the house, pay alimony, he'd get a huge chunk of my retirement, and I'd pay child support for the next decade unless I was lucky enough to be awarded joint custody. The worst thing she told me was that it didn't matter that he cheated. It didn't matter. I was crushed. There was only one person I could trust with this kind of information. She was a fellow teacher that had also made the jump to administration, but was stuck at a school site. Let's call him Andy. Andy had been married at 19, but his marriage was annulled when his wife got pregnant from another man. Since then, he'd focused on his career, and we'd found we were kindred spirits in a lot of ways regarding K-12 education. I talked to Andy. He said something to me that changed my whole mindset. If you don't like the hand you're dealt, change the deck. I realized I had 2 problems. I made more money than Dave, and he had more time than me to be the primary caretaker of the kids. The second issue was actually kind of easy. At every district office, there are jobs that are fast tracks to higher positions, and there are jobs that administrators suffer through. One of these dead-end regulatory positions was open again. I sat down with our district superintendent and asked about being transferred to that position. At first, he was shocked, but I told him that it was my time to take one for the team and it would fill a hole in my admin experience. He agreed. It was really just crunching numbers with no personnel or student interaction, so I could set my schedule, even take a laptop home and work there. With my new free time, I began taking the kids to school, picking them up from school, and taking them home. I'd help them with their homework, make dinner. Goal was to become their primary caretaker. I can't explain how much I really enjoyed taking a more active role in their day-to-day lives. My salary hadn't been reduced, so I needed to find a way for Dave to make a lot more money than he was in his current nursing position. I remember Dave being mad that his supervisor told him in the future, bachelor degrees will be worthless and everyone will need at least a master's degree. Dave had worked hard to get his bachelor's, and that supervisor's comment peed all over his hard work. I talked him into starting a master's program. I told him that since I had a much more flexible work schedule, I would keep taking care of the kids. He was reluctant at first, then I said, "You could have every evening free to study or go to class, whatever you want to do." I saw his eyes immediately light up, probably thinking that he could spend more time with Paula. To make sure he was actually completing his master's courses, I paid his tuition and fees directly to his university. It was going to take him between 2 to 3 years to finish. Those years were rough at times. I could tell every time he was rushing off or coming back from seeing Paula. There was an excitement or sense of satisfaction in his eyes that just wasn't there when he was doing his coursework. I had to either smile or pretend I didn't notice. My temper got short at times and I found myself in arguments over petty nonsense. A couple of times I almost blew the whole charade, having to bite my tongue and apologize rather than scream insults at him that he deserved, and remained my confidant through all of this. I'd recommended him for my previous fast-track position and he joined me at the district office. Andy was qualified, hardworking, ambitious, and only needed his foot in the door to impress the higher-ups. I even got a few pats on the back for recommending him after he impressed everyone. Andy and I started our own affair. It wasn't some hot-blooded passionate romance, but two friends giving each other what they need. Without Andy, I wouldn't have been able to maintain the charade of being the oblivious cuckold, but when Dave would come home smiling after spending time with Paula, I was able to bear it, smiling back because I had my own lover. After 3.5 years, Dave completed his master's and was promoted at his hospital. His salary went up substantially and was now higher than mine. When the kids and I made him a congratulations dinner, I made a joke about him being the breadwinner for the family. With these new facts, he drafted the petition and filed it. When the kids were with my mother, I had Dave served. The deputy knocked on our front door and I let him in, pointing at my husband. He asked his name and then handed him a copy of the divorce petition. With the deputy standing there, I told Dave I wanted a divorce. You can now check if there is a part 2 by clicking share and more.